Welcome to the Courtship Aftershow, a talk show on the Reader Seeks Romance channel that recaps and discusses former NBC, current USA Network dating reality show, The Courtship, inspired by the work of Jane Austen. I am Liz Donatelli, and my co-host is my good friend and reality TV superfan, Tiffany Current. Today, Tiffany and I are discussing episodes 6 and 7 of The Courtship with our special guest, Achilles King, aka Mr. King, a former suitor from the cast of The Courtship.
Hello.
Hello, Tiffany. Hello, Mr. King.
Very exciting.
Tiffany and I are huge fans of The Courtship. First question, we have to know, how and why did you get to be on The Courtship?
Well, it was interesting because they actually contacted me on my Instagram, and I saw the message and I thought it was a fake message, so I didn't respond for like a week. And finally, I reopened it again because it's like, oh, it's there. So there was a phone number, and I ended up calling the phone number. It was a casting director. Her name was Avery, and she was telling me that it was a dating show. I immediately said no.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's fascinating.
Okay.
Yeah, I immediately declined the offer. But then she ended up calling me back, and she kind of explained the details of the show on how it's not going to be like those other reality dating shows with a ton of drama and things like that. Because I don't want to go into a show that's going to like kind of destroy my character or any type of way. So,
Absolutely.
And then I said, okay, this is, I haven't dated in a long time. Maybe this is an opportunity for me to find someone. So I just took the opportunity again.
Wow.
That's exciting.
So did you? Wow.
Did they tell you that it would be Regency, that you'd be getting dressed up in costumes? And
Nope.
Did you just find out when you showed up?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's
that. Okay. At that point, were you second guessing your decision? You were like, what is this?
No, it was interesting. I'm a big fan of that time. And it was, I watch a lot of movies like that. Medieval is not the same, but even medieval time movies. Yeah. I'm in love with the past. And, I thought it was pretty cool. Thought it was awesome when I got there, and we're trying on the outfits. This is different. You were trying.
Now I have to ask, I'm going to skip ahead, Tiffany. I think this question might be on your list.
It's on my list.
So there's the costumes you get, and also there's brooches. Each of you had a brooch. Tiffany, Go ahead, because I know that you've been dying to ask this.
I was actually, I rewatched your episodes, but I wasn't paying attention to the brooch. But do you get to choose your brooch? Mm-hmm. And if so, what was it, and why did you choose that specific brooch?
I chose first of all, a bunch of guys went in there. They took a bunch of brooches. It was kind of like first grab, first serve, and I chose mine because I started off as a joke. I was kind of joking around a little bit. I was like, mine was kind of like a shield, and
that's what it was. Yep.
It was a shield, but then the crystal came out of the shield, and then and it was almost like my thing with her would be like, this is the shield and I'm your protector. So, you could only show me your heart when I'm around, or something stupid like that.
That's sweet. That's cute though.
That's pretty good in the moment that you came up with that. Cause I think that's
a good line. Did you knock it out on purpose so that you could say that line and be like, actually this, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I didn't get to tell her that, but the guys kind of did laugh when I did, bring it up. They're like, oh, you're ridiculous. But wow. It was pretty cool. I actually still have it with me. It's something that the only thing that you could take from the show was one of those.
That's very cool. I like that you could take that with, though.
That's good.
I do have to ask a follow-up question. Since you didn't know this was Regency times, when you got there, did they train you to do the dancing and the calligraphy? How did that work out?
Well, actually, the calligraphy part, they didn't teach you how to do that. You had to kind of I lied. They did teach you. It's just kind of like, you just had to just be you. Try your best to write some cursive.
Third grade cursive coming out again, gotta be neat.
But the interesting part about my cursive is I actually first started writing. I started writing cursive before I started writing print when I went to school. They taught us that first.
Oh.
I had a little bit of advantage. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty happy, right? Because I was like, I know how to write cursive. My print looks like hieroglyphics, so I was happy that they wanted me to write mine.
That's hilarious.
so
That's awesome.
That was pretty cool. But as far as the dancing, yeah, they had to teach you how to dance.
Everyone dances really well. And I said, it must have been exhaustive lessons. Was it like, in addition to dancing, what other things were you taught? I'm guessing rules of etiquette, because that's come up a number of times. Can you go into a little bit of behind the scenes, what they were teaching you?
Yeah, in terms of etiquette, like, in that era, you couldn't approach a woman without asking somebody else to approach her first, because it was a sign of disrespect if you immediately came up to her. And then also, once you do get the opportunity of meeting her, you have to bow and then present yourself. So I thought that was pretty interesting. The etiquette part was easy for me because I'm not gonna lie to you guys, like I'm very respectful on dates. So it was kind of like a smooth transition. Now the dancing, I am Dominican, so I dance a lot of merengue, but to be honest with you, during the elimination dance, I was terrible.
Oh, really? It could have fooled me. I couldn't tell. I thought you guys all did a really good job.
Yeah.
I was terrible at mine. I think it's because I was overthinking the moment and I wasn't really, everything that I learned went out the window.
Right.
But for the most part, yeah, I thought the dancing was pretty cool. Choreographers were amazing. They were the same choreographers from Regency, actually.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Oh, that's so
I feel
awesome.
like they should have highlighted that on the show. They should have said that. That's really cool.
Yeah, Eddie was amazing. He was the lead. He was the lead choreographer there, and he was incredible. Very patient, helped us out a lot, taught us a lot. Yeah, it's awesome.
Wow.
So I understand, because it was mentioned in, I think, episode 6 or 7 about the cottage. So all of the suitors are living in the cottage. Can you walk us through, how immersive is it? Is there like an outhouse? Is there a toilet? Did you wear Regency era linen nightgowns?
Those long nightgowns, yeah.
I want to know, like, when the cameras weren't on you and you guys were all in the cottage, was it still Regency living?
Yes and no. The conference area, it was definitely Regency. Tons of books. It was kind of like it was kind of like they call it was kind of like a living room, guys' living room. Like, they have everything for guys. They have like books, cigars, drinks. It was kind of like a meeting room for all the guys to get together. But for the most part, yeah, we had regular beds. Regular toilets.
Mr. Combs, I think he said that in episode 7, there's only one toilet. Is that correct? He said there was one shared toilet.
Was there? Yes, there was one shared toilet for sure. Yeah.
That's
okay. Yeah.
All those guys, that's kind of tragic, but okay.
Was it dormitory style where there was just a bunch of beds in a big room? Really?
Yeah, there was. And I was fortunate because, me being me, I was like, oh, I'm getting the single room. So there was one room, with one bed, and the rest of the rooms, like, they were filled with different beds. And you would think it was a smart idea, right? If you had a cell phone. But they didn't allow us to have our cell phones there. So when I went into my room, I'm like, happy. I'm like, yes, got my own spot. I'm like, wait a minute, it's so boring in here. There's no phone. I'm like, and then I just ended up going back upstairs with the guys and just,
Oh, you're kidding. That's so funny. So no cell phone, no internet, no connection to the outside world. That's crazy. You couldn't even tell anyone, like, look, I've ended up on this dating show where I'm wearing these weird outfits. Talking your Regency times.
What did
crazy.
You tell people, like the people in your life? Did you say, okay, I'm going to be gone and like, I'm going to drop off the map for how long was it? Was it a couple of months? What do you tell people? Like, okay, I'm going, don't call me.
It was, it was a month of shooting, but when you got there, you had to stay in quarantine for about 3 weeks.
So, okay. I like that though. Keeping it safe.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Wow.
Shot. So it was a month of shooting, but then after you shot, you had to go back in quarantine again for a week or so. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Okay. Wow. I have one more question before we dig into 6 and 7. Did you see Nicole Remy prior to shooting did they keep the suitors separate? And when we see you meeting her on camera for the first time, is that truly the first time?
That's the first time. You didn't even get to see her at all.
Oh, wow.
What she looks like, who she is, anything.
That's cool.
Wow.
That's very smart then. It's a real reaction that we get to see from you guys. I like that.
Right.
As far as the guys, we didn't even get to see the guys also, and some of the guys as well.
Wow.
Oh,
That's
very interesting. I don't know if you're aware, there are new suitors that are introduced during the season that aren't the original group. So you didn't meet any, like those guys weren't waiting in the wings where you knew they were there, but we didn't, like.
In the beginning, they were trying to separate us as much as they could. They were trying to like put blindfolds on us, like, oh, you can't see the other guy.
Wow.
And then eventually, things happen. Oh, there he goes. I know who he is now. So then
he's a suitor.
He's a suitor. Then they had to put some of us in groups and separate us, and then we saw those guys prior to them coming in. Yeah, we did.
Okay, gotcha.
Not all of the guys though. Not all of the guys got to see them. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Really,
I love this behind the scenes stuff. This is pretty cool.
I love it. Should we dig into episodes 6 and 7? So episode 6, parents on leave. Mr. and Mrs. Remy have left. I don't know. They've gone somewhere.
Yep.
And actually, Achilles, did you get to spend one-on-one time with Nicole's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Remy? Did you get a chance to chat with them? Because it seems like they make their rounds with all the suitors.
They're incredible people. They're amazing.
That's what we want to know, because we're watching the show. We're like, we love the Remys. We want them to have their own show. They're so I don't know. They just seem so nice and sweet, and they could have been set back in that day. Yeah, they seem fantastic.
They do. And in episode 6, they are gone, and Nicole's brother Dom takes their place. So Dom Remy is on the scene, and he takes over as far as, inspecting and scrutinizing all of the suitors. Most important thing that happens in Parents on Leave episode, Tiffany, would you say it's Mr. Chapman sneaking into the castle for breakfast in bed?
I would say, this was a whole I think I would say the whole episode 6 was a Mr. Chapman episode.
Yes.
But before we even get to that, Mr. Chapman, question for you, Mr. King, Achilles. Did Mr. Chapman talk about his van that much? Because whenever we watch the show, he's always talking about his van. And I'm not sure if it's like a producer's cut or if he's talking about his van all the time. Did he bring him his van to you? Like, what was...
He offered to give you a ride in the van. I mean, we need to know that his van love is off the charts.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
I think that first and foremost, out of the suitors there, Mr. Lincoln was one of my favorites, and also Danny B was my favorite also as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, as soon as I got there, we could build a really good connection. But as far as Lincoln, I think that he wanted to let people know that he was an explorer, an adventurer. I'm in a van, and I hope that you kind of accept me for what I do and who I am as an individual. So I think that he wanted to portray that to let her know, like, hey, if you do get with me, this is what's going to happen. We're going to be traveling a lot in this van.
Gotcha.
This is my livelihood. This is what I do.
Right.
So I think that's probably why he kept bringing it up. I think. I don't know. It's just
okay.
My take on it.
All right, that's good to know. I was and I appreciate that, because at first we're like, we're not sure about this van. But that isn't, we're not. It seemed like that was his way of life. So it's good to know, like, so that is who he is as a person. But
yeah,
I would say sneaking to the bedroom, that was pretty exciting. I thought that was kind of nice.
It was.
You didn't get the opportunity to do that, as far as I could tell, Mr. King. I don't know. They didn't shoot it. They didn't show it, at least. But that was pretty spicy.
He snuck in. He dressed as a footman, or I guess you would say a footman, or I don't know, whatever they were called.
A butler, I guess.
Butler. Yeah. And Miss Remy had hungry eyes. She was all about it. She actually kissed him
like first. A Patrick Swayze line.
Yes.
Yeah, she did kiss him first.
She did kiss him first. She was all into it. And he basically was like, hey, I would sneak into the castle any day to spend time with you. We're getting to a point in the show where everyone's feeling the competition. Now, I'm imagining that when you first started, Achilles, that the competition wasn't as intense. We're getting to the point now where guys are doing everything and anything to get one-on-one time with Miss Remy.
Can I go to the, what is it called? Is it called the Bacchanal? Is that how you say it? The Bacchanal?
That was the key word of episode 6. Bacchanal.
So in this episode, they're celebrating this. I don't know if it's a Greek tradition or just people in costumes and like drinking or something or other.
Yeah. And
everyone got dressed up. I think in episode 2, you got dressed up in kind of like a rowing outfit to go rowing with everyone. Did you guys get to pick your outfits? How did that work when it comes to like the costumes? Did you get to say, yeah, I like that, I don't like that? How did that work?
No, we didn't get to pick our outfits actually. And
too bad.
I wasn't happy with my outfit in the beginning. I was like, green,
really,
brown, and all this. This doesn't make any sense. This is but then after a while, obviously you get used to it, and you understand why they separated, the ball outfit with a regular traditional you're walking around outfit. But yeah, we didn't get to choose any of the outfits, to be honest, though.
When you were wearing those costumes, did it make you feel more of the times? Like did you feel more proper?
Yeah, a lot of the guys
buttoned up.
Yeah, a lot of the guys were actually having a blast with their outfits on and just talking in that era. And yeah, I was one of those guys. Yeah, we had a good time in the beginning. Not so much so because it was getting really hot at times, and we were trying to figure out like, all right, how long do we have to be in these outfits for? But then after a while, you get used to it. So yeah,
that's right. That's a lot of fun. That's pretty exciting. It was interesting because in that specific, the Bacchanal outfits, they were wearing kind of like almost like exactly. Very revealing. I didn't mind it, but it was very, very revealing. Miss Remy came out in a very nice, like a see-through thing that was kind of nice. And then they had to do poetry, which was pretty random. Were you guys doing poetry because you had so much free time, I'm imagining, right? What did you do in your spare time? Were you coming up with poetry? Was something like that? Did you know that was coming up and you would prepare? How did that work?
Poetry or writing the letter to her?
In general, like with your free time.
Yeah, well, not necessarily. I guess there were times where they sat us all down and said, hey, look, now you guys are going to go ahead and practice what you're going to say to her, and how are you going to impress her with what you're going to say. So just be thoughtful of, that she's going to be reading every single letter, and her family's going to read the letter as well. Just make sure.
So be mindful.
Yeah, be mindful of, just be yourself. At the end of the day, they were more like, just be yourself, but also, be respectful. And yeah, I think all the guys, we all sat down. I had to rip up my letter a few times. I'm a perfectionist, so I'm like, how do I write the A again?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
That's awesome. So we've often wondered if any lines are suggested to the suitors, because certain things that are said were like,
oh, wow.
Really? No, there's no writers who are like, hey, maybe you could say this. Really?
Yeah. Wow.
I'm impressed. I'm very impressed because there's some good lines on this show. It's very romantic, some of this stuff.
Yeah. I'm really shocked. Because now we have to kind of rewatch all the episodes with new eyes, Tiffany, because we thought something like, oh, that's a producer. A producer got involved in that. Really?
That's surprising.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So in episode 6, Captain Kim gives Miss Remy a bracelet.
I was going to bring that up.
He gives her a bracelet and says, listen, I'm very sincere about my feelings. If at any point I don't live up to my promises, you can give me my bracelet back and I'll be good. And he gave her a very chaste first kiss on the forehead, which I thought was a beautiful touch. But it begs the question, okay, he had this bracelet. Were you guys told to go into the situation with different gifts to distribute throughout the season?
No. Yes, especially my famous gift line. He's bringing out gifts. No. None of those guys. Those were their ideas, their original ideas, and a lot of the times the guys didn't come up to us. Any of them was like, hey, do you think this is a good idea? Should I give her a gift? No, they just went about and did their thing.
Wow.
You're blowing my mind.
It's very, because I was like, where did he get this bracelet from? But even before we get to that,
yeah,
on their little date, she specifically asked Captain Kim to give her a kiss, and he chose the forehead kiss. And I was like, I appreciate that you think that's sweet, Liz, but if somebody asks for a kiss, they're not asking for a forehead kiss.
Well,
I mean, come on, let's be honest. Mr. King,
right,
where do you stand on forehead kisses? Is that sweet? Is that I was like, what is he? She specifically said, give me a kiss. And he was like, all right, I guess I'll kiss your forehead. And I was like, that's not. She was asking for saliva. Like she wanted an exchange.
She was asking for saliva?
She wanted a mouth-to-mouth situation.
Like, lick my tonsils. She was like, give me a kiss.
She wanted a kiss. She gave him a look. She said, give me a kiss. He kissed her. Have you given a woman a kiss on the forehead when they've asked for a kiss before?
No.
Nor should you. Nor should you.
I mean, if that's her being vulnerable, it's very, I mean, a woman at times, they're not vulnerable like that to say, hey, can you give me a kiss? Like if that's your opportunity as a man to give a woman a kiss, so I don't know. I wouldn't have kissed her. I would have kissed her. But everyone's different, maybe that was his way of being respectful and showing her, hey, look, I know these guys have kissed you or they're being very aggressive, but this is my touch, I don't know, maybe that was his way of kind of portraying some type of class or some type of, being a gentleman. But
I agree. I think he wanted to give her something different because she was getting a lot of kisses on the mouth, open mouth kisses. And maybe it's like, I want to set myself apart. The other thing is that Captain Kim is playing a different strategy than everyone else, or a different game, or whatever you want to call it. His approach is different because he's playing the Regency era gentleman that actually lived back in the 1800s. But I feel like the best strategy, I feel, and what works best with Mr. Remy is to play the Regency hero in romance novels, which those, they're a bit more, rakish, and they're going to
a little more
rules. And Captain Kim is a gentleman to his very core, but she seems to want something a bit rougher around the edges, I guess, and someone who's,
more aggressive. And I think that paid off Mr. Chapman, because after that whole Bacchanal, which I don't know how to say that word, whatever it is,
Bacchanal,
they get on another little picnic date, which begs the question about these picnic dates.
Ask it, Tiffany.
You went on a picnic date with her. She keeps sneaking off to these picnic dates, and a blanket suddenly appears. What's the deal with the blankets? Mr. King, tell us. Is there somebody there with the blanket? Do you have a blanket in your pocket? Where are these blankets coming from?
That's an interesting question.
We've been watching the episodes. We're like, where are these blankets coming from?
A lot of blankets.
I think there's some sets, like sometimes they set little things up and things like that. Yeah, I believe so, of course. There's a guy running behind Miss Remy.
Put the blanket down.
Yeah, no, it was just like sometimes some of the times they set up the scenes in certain areas, so like they'll separate some of the guys here, some of the guys there, and then sometimes you just got to take the opportunity and just be aggressive and just go out there and show face. For me, it was difficult for me to be that way because her parents were there, and it was just like I'm in a awkward battle, like, oh, should I be more aggressive? But then her father's there, her mom's there, and I'm just like, oh man, So that was me.
Well, you were lovely on the show. We spoke very favorably of you in past episodes of the Courtship Aftershow. We were really on your side. Prior to exiting the show, did you have an inkling at all that you would be leaving in the carriage? Was that something discussed, like, hey, tomorrow's your last day, or were you truly surprised when the moment came?
Yeah, I was very surprised. A lot of the guys were surprised because they don't let you know who's going to be on the card or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say, since we're jumping to that, I went and I watched your farewell, and when she gave you, like, I don't know, she curtsied to give you to let you know to step forward to the dance, and then when you took a step forward, you took a break and you like breathed, and then you kind of broke down, then she broke down, then I broke down watching it. I think everyone was breaking down. What was happening in that moment? Were you expecting to have that sort of emotion, like an emotional reaction there?
No, I wasn't. It was interesting. I'm going to be very transparent about this. I think first of all, I didn't think that I was going to be eliminated. Second of all, when she called my name, I kind of looked back and I was the only suitor left. So I'm like, all right, well, I think I'm going to be eliminated. But I've had so much emotions throughout that episode, throughout the season in itself. My mom dying, my brother dying. I was very overwhelmed as it was, and I think that when that time came, all of those emotions finally came through, and yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking at that moment. And then also, as far as the opportunity, obviously I wish it could have been different, but I just, at the end, I just wanted to make sure that she was happy, that she chose the right person, and because she was generally there for that. She was generally there to find somebody. We've had some discussions on the show. I don't know why I didn't show my part, but I went to her. Do you guys remember when Mr. Combs was on the top floor and he was kind of talking to her at the ball?
Yes.
Yeah,
I do.
So there were times where, a few of us got up, got the opportunity to go up there and talk to her. And I was one of those guys, because I don't know if her parents chose me or someone did. I went up to her and I said, hey, what are you looking for? What are you looking for in this? And she was like, listen, I'm just trying to be happy. Like, I'm ready.
Aww.
And I told her, I'm tired also. Like, I'm tired of the same old, same old. Like, what are you looking for? What can we do with this? And, we had some discussions here and there. So when I was getting eliminated, I don't think that I got the opportunity to showcase more of who I was. I think she only got a grasp of my emotional side. And to be honest with you, growing up in my family, were very tough. My mom was very, very strong. She was like a man and a woman in one. And when it came to emotions, we weren't as vulnerable. When things happened, all right, clean up your stuff and just keep going, keep trucking. And I've been like that my entire life. And I think that when those things happened, I kind of bottled it up too long. And when that time came, I was just came all out.
Oh,
right.
Well, that was a very memorable moment for at least for us watching. We're like, wow, that was just we loved how honest you were and open you were. And then I think you even wished her well, and you wanted her to find a love, and you let her know that she made you realize you could find somebody like that out there. It was a really beautiful moment, and we were all very sad to see you go. So that was very sad to see.
No, I appreciate that. And one thing that I always said to myself, why would I want to bring this service to someone that's not interested in me? Why am I going to get upset if she's not interested in me? At the end of the day, I really appreciate her honesty from letting me go, because then we're just playing games at the end of the day, trying to figure out, well, do you want to be with me? Do you like me? Do you not? So I'm the type of person, I'm a straight shooter. Hey, you want to get involved? No? Okay, cool, fine. I'm no hard feelings,
Right.
and at the end of the day, it's about her as well. It's not just about my feelings and what I want. So, yeah.
So based upon that, I mean, I'll just to take it back to episode 6, because I know that later on she gets together with Mr. Chapman. They spend the night together, which was very exciting for us as viewers.
That's right. I almost forgot about that scandal.
Yes. So is he somebody that you're rooting for? I mean, I don't know if you know what happened. You probably can't tell us yet. But since you said that he was one of your favorite people on the show, are you rooting for him and her to end up together, or him and Mr. Boccicchio? Who's your favorite to end up with Miss Remy?
Mr. Chapman and Mr. Boccicchio. Those are
okay.
Maybe they could, and what would be cool? This would be a whole
Liz,
other.
I don't want to know. You're gonna go.
I was going to say maybe they could do a polyamorous relationship. Now that's a reality show I would want, right? Chapman, Boccicchio, and Remy. I mean, these are modern.
In his van, it could all be they're traveling in the van together,
hey,
having a relationship.
I would watch that.
One more thing, we have to end with the final Captain Kim.
Oh,
kicked
that's
off
right.
At the end we need to talk about that.
Yes. I was going to mention the soup. I was going to mention the soup. Okay, and the breasts on the ceiling. Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, listen, it happened. Okay. So it was revealed, and you could tell me if this was a thing all the suitors did. It was revealed in a conversation between Mr. Chapman and Mr. Coates. Mr. Chapman said he looks at the ceiling in the Great Hall at the naked breasts, the paintings of the naked breasts. He would look up there when he got nervous during the farewell dance. And Mr. Coates is like, what? You did that? So I was wondering, was that a thing that the suitors did? They'd stand up there or they just look up at the naked women on the ceiling? Or was that just a Chapman thing?
I think that was just a Chapman thing, honestly. Yeah, I don't even remember. Is there really naked women up there? I mean, I didn't get
well, they did cut to it at some point in the show.
I
They
did
did cut
and
to
watch
it.
this.
I did see some of the murals and stuff. Yeah, I did see it, but I wasn't.
Yeah, it was a. And the other thing is, I have to ask real quick, did you know that Miss Remy loves a good bowl of soup? Did she ever mention soup?
No. And she likes to eat. She's an eater. So yeah.
That's a good quality in a woman. I like somebody who likes to eat.
Miss Cleary, her friend, said she loves a good bowl of soup, but she was drunk from the Bacchanal. So that might be why she said soup. I just had to know. Okay. Tiffany, go ahead.
So at the end of episode 6, we had the final dances, and Captain Kim basically more or less asked to leave because of what happened with Miss Remy and Mr. Chapman staying the night together. And in my opinion, he kind of slut-shamed her, which I did not appreciate. But either way, after he was starting to leave, Mr. Chapman said, I want to speak to you, because whatever Captain Kim said to Miss Remy, she started crying afterwards, because he said, like, I know what happened. And, I don't want to, I guess, put my heart out there if that's what you're doing with other people. And then Mr. Chapman and Captain Kim more or less kind of got into words about that. But I had a question about that, because in a previous episode, Mr. Bokikio kind of got into words with Captain Kim. And so are emotions just running really high at these moments, or is Captain Kim just really annoying? I'm just being honest. I just want to.
I think that when, in time, you start to, first of all, it's, how many guys were there at this time? 7, 10 maybe?
Yeah.
At this point, yeah.
At this point, probably like 7 to 10 guys. And we've been there for so long. And then there's an attractive woman, very educated woman, great family. And then you start thinking to yourself, like, wow, maybe I could truthfully really see myself with this woman, and that's when the competition starts to kick in and the emotions start to run high. At the end of the day, we're men. Men are very competitive, and especially when it comes to a woman that they're interested in. So emotions, however they played out, and I think that's probably what happened. And he was probably like, man, like, I want to take this time to really show this woman who I am, but then I have a bunch of other suitors that are like just getting in my way, and it's kind of annoying. Now I'm just like, maybe that's probably why he was acting the way he was acting. Maybe that's why his emotions were high.
Yeah.
So,
well, as we know about Captain Kim, he had a devastating breakup where the woman was unfaithful. So this is very triggering to see Miss Remy with different men, but at the same time, he knew this was going to happen. I didn't feel that Captain Kim was slut-shaming her. I think he was like, listen, I see what's going on, and it's not for me because of my own issues. So I thought he bowed out rather gracefully. He didn't say to her, you did this with Chapman. We don't know what happened between Chapman and Miss Remy. Did they become intimate? Did they just sleep chastely side by side? Who knows? But I think Chapman made more of it than he needed to. She did cry because I think she just feels pulled in many directions. And at this point in this, she probably feels like she disappointed Captain Kim because she genuinely liked him. She was just trying to create drama. And then I was wondering, is that something the producers do? Do the producers say to Chapman, hey, you're going to let him do that? You should go and have, but apparently no, the producers, according to you, stay out of it. So this was just all bravado on Chapman's, part, that he was like, hey, Captain Kim. And then it got kind of, I thought it was going to come to fisticuffs, but it did not. So that's how we ended episode 6. Episode 7, there is a masquerade ball, like right at the top of the show.
Yes.
It did look pretty awesome. I mean, beautifully crafted masks and this whole thing. So a new suitor appears, Mr. Nazir, who I laughed because his occupation is just listed as socialite.
Yes, I know. I saw that. So
I was like, a rich dude. His background is that he went to a French school in England, so he knows French. So he just keeps whipping out the French. Talking to people in French, and Miss Remy, and she's just floored because he's a very, very handsome man, very what would you call debonair and charming and all that. The twist is Mr. Mumbray knows this guy, Mr. Miles Nazir, from their London social circle and says he has a reputation for stealing girlfriends. Now, this seems like, come on, the producers must have added this guy to shake things up because they know his reputation. So Tiffany, I would like to refer to him as, in your terms, he's not a real guy. Like, he's not a real man. Like,
I don't think he's a real person.
He seems like he's an actor. He seems like he walked out of a romance novel. What are your thoughts on Mr. Nazir, Tiffany? Do you think he's got longevity in this show? What do you think? What's
I didn't get him. I appreciate the French because I like French, but I didn't get him. She was like, I think she was really head over heels for him, and she kissed him. I was like, good for you, girl. Yeah. Like, you're just going for it. She kissed him
like right after they met. They were just dancing at this masquerade ball. She went in for it.
She went in for it.
And he gave it to her.
He did not do a forehead kiss, my friend. He's like, I'm giving her saliva.
No forehead kisses in this episode. Yeah.
She wanted saliva and she got it.
Love it.
Question. Okay. Mr. King, you yourself said you was here at the masquerade ball. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. There were a lot of extras at this masquerade ball. And we've noticed watching this show, there are lots of extras, people in costumes dancing. Do you engage with the extras? Did you ever talk to them? Do you guys get in costumes together? What's happening with the extras? Who are these people?
Yeah, the extras are actually really cool people. And a lot of them were our dancing partners too. They were the ones who helped us with the whole dancing, choreographing and all that. Amazing people. They were awesome. I got along with them very well.
Okay. Really? I love knowing this because we're like, who are these people? They're just showing up.
Yeah.
In these costumes. I love knowing that. That's awesome. So you built friendships with some of these people.
Oh, I built friendships, I think, with every single person on the show, down to the cameramen, the producers, even the runners on the show.
Cool.
The stylists were amazing. Every single person, I think, even the barbers, the people that did the hair, it was just, they were all incredible people. It's very rare. They were telling us, they were like, oh, it's very rare to find this mixture of people, this energy that's going on, because everyone was getting along with everyone. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I have to ask though, was there a suitor that was your least favorite? Was it Mr. Safa? Like, who was your least favorite?
You want it to be Safa. You're leading him by saying, is it Safa? I would think that I was going to say it was the doctor. What was his name? Sabinsky? What's his name? I don't remember his name.
He was in the very first
episode. Doctor with the apple.
Dr. Jarrett, yeah. I think really
yes. He left after the first episode. I feel like maybe he was a little difficult maybe to get along with. Mm-hmm. You don't have to answer our question, but
I'll answer the question.
Oh,
to be honest with you, I did not like him at all on the show.
The doctor or Mr. Safa?
The doctor. I did not like
the doctor. Interesting.
Let me tell you something. After meeting him in person, he's an amazing human being. It's crazy.
Is he a doctor?
Yeah, he's a doctor.
Oh, okay.
He's a doctor.
Sure.
Yeah, he's an incredible person. Very, very thoughtful, very generous. Very nice, man. Like, I was in shock. Like, meeting him after the show, I was like, oh, wow, this is not the same person I met on the show. Interesting.
Aww.
I think a lot of it had to do with emotions. It was a different environment. You know, there was a lot of things going on and we were trying to figure everything out. Come on, think about it. Like, I'm from the East Coast originally. We got guys coming from Miami, Florida, Jersey, all these other places. And we're going to England and York. And they're like, whoa.
That's cool.
You know, it's kind of time traveling and we're just trying to get adjusted. And I think that's, you know, all those emotions were just happening with us. It's like, you know, one minute you're like this, one minute you're like that. But he's an incredible person, actually. I was in shock meeting him after. I was like, wow, I would have never, maybe if he would have got more time on the show, you guys probably would have seen more of his character. But yeah, he's cool. And I would not say it if he wasn't.
Okay. Danny B does nothing but stare down this Mr. Nazir, the new guy. And it's getting real, and I think Miss Remy is digging that. Did you see her looking at Miss Danny B, looking at Mr. Nazir? She kind of was digging that he was kind of like, yeah, like standing really tall, like, yeah, and even admitted at one point that he would marry her. Do you remember that, Tiffany?
I do remember that. That was interesting, which a question we've been trying to figure out is what is the goal of the show? When you were brought onto this dating show, did they tell you that you're supposed to propose at the very end, or this was just to meet someone? We were trying to figure that out.
I didn't know anything.
Oh, okay.
I did not know anything.
Wow. Okay.
About the show, nothing. No.
Okay, so maybe just to find a relationship then. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, because then we can't blame any of the suitors for being like, oh, marriage? You're looking to get married? Because right? Because we were like, oh, how could they not know what the goal of this thing is? And then we're like, well, wait, what is Miss Remy's goal? And her goal is to meet someone to become, I guess, sooner rather than later, engaged and married. And Danny B was like, whoa, I didn't know that. And I kind of was on his side about that. I was like, well, that's a good point. Like, what is the end game on this? So that's really,
it was interesting.
Yeah,
that was interesting. As episode 7 went on, I think Mr. Mumbray tried to kind of show, like, win over Miss Remy by baking a lemon cake.
A lemon drizzle cake.
Does he bake
not just a lemon
cakes, Mr. King? Does he bake cakes?
He said
I
he was
watching
a chef.
it, and I was like, he's not beating those eggs. He's not beating those eggs.
It's so interesting. And another suitor that's one of my favorites is Mr. Mumbray. Also, he reminds me a lot about my brother. It's so weird. And I didn't know that he baked. I didn't ask him that.
I know that he likes to eat cake, but I didn't know that he baked until this episode.
And he said he was a chef for 3 years in France, he said, baking.
Oh, yeah, that I believe.
Oh, wow. I totally missed that. That's super cool.
Yes.
I do remember him talking about that.
Wow, that's awesome. So he can bake.
So he made the lemon drizzle cake. We got to know a little bit about him. He served the cake to Miss Remy and her sister, Mrs. Baker, and Miss Cleary was there, and the brother Dom. And then Mr. Nazir comes and crashes this intimate little tea party. And he brings a huge cake that obviously he bought, and gave out gifts of tea to Miss Cleary and wine to Mrs. Baker, and gives a sword to Dom. And I'm thinking, that's when I was like, oh, the producers must have given all.
They had to give him the sword, though. Let's be honest.
The sword has to have. It's a weapon.
He's not bringing a sword to set just for kicks. Like, you don't do that.
He brought a sword to a cake fight.
Well, the thing is, there was the stone of King Arthur that was behind the castle.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
I'm just talking.
Oh, you're joking. Oh, okay. I totally believed you.
I was like, what?
I was like, that would have been so cool.
Stone, and he drove it out. He was the only one that was able to.
That's hilarious. I love that. So that's who determines who the winner is. Whoever can pull the sword out. That's pretty.
That could be taken many ways, funny. Tiffany. I don't know.
Oh, enough with your dirty mind.
I didn't say anything. You're the dirty mind. Yeah. So the drizzle cake, so then what I thought was a little, I don't know, I didn't really agree. Miss Remy, upon getting all these gifts for her and her court, she leaves Mr. Mumbray with his cake, and she leaves with Mr. Nazir to go learn how to make gin. Okay.
Wait, what? Wait.
Yes. Yeah, they go to make gin. That's their date.
Okay. So she immediately leaves as like, peace out, Mr. Mumbray. I'm going to go with Mr. Nazir. And Mr. Nazir's like, oh, let's make some gin. And they start, using the mortar and pestle to break down some lavender and different. And I'm like, Mr. Mumbray's in the little, the drawing room with his cake. And I thought that was a little, what was that?
Was the cake dripping somewhere? Like you said, it was overflowed with what?
No, it was perfectly iced. It was a lemon drizzle. The icing was drizzled, and everyone was enjoying it. But then this, So anyway, I don't know. Did you think that Miss Remy should have just stayed with Mr. Mumbray? And
I think. Oh, go ahead, Mr. King.
Oh no, please.
No, well, because that's actually an interesting question, because we often see guys pulling her away. So we didn't know, can she say no, or does she have
is she
to go
told like, hey, listen, if someone interrupts, you should go with them and leave?
Yes.
Like, I'm wondering how much of the time she spends is dictated by the producers.
That's very interesting, because I think just it just gets to a point that the guys just starts, just kind of going in there, just like, you know what, this guy's taking too much time. Let me cut him off, So, and I think the producers also at one point were like, hey, look, if you do know this is a competition at the end of the day. So if you want to talk to her, you got to do what you got to do at times. And they were giving us the green light too. So.
Okay.
I like that. I guess that explains because later on, I think Mr. Boccicchio sends her a note to say, let's meet privately by the fountain. And
yes,
they have a pretty nice, she jumps into his arms. I'm like, she's really into Mr. Boccicchio.
You know what? No matter what happens between her and other suitors, she really does light up when she is in the presence of Danny B. So should we talk about the farewell dance in this episode?
So the farewell dance, I think there's 3 people that she called. It was Mr. Holland, Mr. Judge, and Mr. I can't say his last name, whatever the new person
Mr.
is,
Nazir?
the French guy. Yes,
Nazir.
thank you.
Yeah.
And basically she dances with all 3 of them and she keeps all 3 of them, which was very surprising for me. So it's like another suitor to stay for longer. Yeah,
she wants to get to know the French dude.
I will just say one thing that I thought was hilarious when she was dancing with him. And I think he started speaking to her in French potentially. Yes. They cut up to the balcony and they cut to Mr. Judge and he's like, I've got to get better at speaking. And then Mr. Boccicchio said, so do I. I thought that was really funny.
And then Mr. Boccicchio did a massive eye roll, like as soon as during the whole French exchange. And Miss Remy is just listening very graciously. And I'm like, oh, maybe she knows French. And then at the end of this whole French conversation, French dialogue, she's like, so what does that mean? It's like, I do like Miss Remy. She does seem very down to earth. She does seem genuine. She does seem to care for everyone she meets and seems to make a connection in one way or another. And it seems as if, based on what you said, Achilles, that she really is the real deal. She's not, she doesn't have any weird ulterior motives. And, she seems like a genuinely good person.
Yeah, she really is. It was, I mean, think about it. You're coming into a reality dating show. You don't know what to expect. You think that everything's going to be written out, it's going to be fake. But no, she's in there for the right reasons. She's looking for someone, and I sensed that very early.
Great. I love to hear that. Now, once you left in the carriage, which I think is kind of cool to get a carriage ride. I think it's a consolation. Is like, oh well, I'm off the show, but I get to ride in the carriage, which I think is pretty cool. Do they whisk you away? Do they have your bags packed? They're like, yo, see you later. How quickly do you have to depart the cottage?
Yeah, of course. There's takes. We had to do a couple takes anyway. They want to make sure they get the right lighting, the right. So, how many times I did it? I think I did it like 2 or 3 times, my take. And then, then they, you don't leave actually in the cottage, to your destination. You get in the cottage and then, all right, cool, cut. And then they take you on those little carts to take you back to the cottage.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a few people actually looking for me. They were like trying to say goodbye to me and stuff like that.
Oh, that's nice.
As far as your relationship with Miss Remy is concerned, have you maintained some kind of a friendship?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's great.
She's reached out a few times, making sure if I was okay. And then also we've had some discussions here and there. We're really good friends. Yeah.
Oh, that's
very sweet.
I think that scene or that situation, it just created a really good friendship for some reason. And because she was very genuine about it. And I love that. I mean, it's very difficult for a man to display those type of emotions and then have someone accept it, and not be judged. And she didn't make me feel judged in any way. So hence is why I've maintained that relationship. Because if otherwise I would be like, no. But yeah.
Right.
It's very sweet.
Wow.
So now that the show is still going on, but now that you're off the show, what are you up to now? What are you doing next?
Currently, I'm just doing online coaching. I'm actually traveling a lot, just getting to know a lot of fitness influencers, just building my business in general. And I'm gonna be the new bachelor for 2022.
Wait, what?
You're kidding? Are you being serious?
No, I'm kidding. If you guys can,
Oh my God.
We had breaking
I
news.
was so excited for you. You'd be a great bachelor.
Twitter actually went crazy, and they've been, not recently, but they were really hitting up NBC, USA Network. They were trying to get me a show. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
You deserve a show. I would watch your show.
You do. I would like to see you find love. Has your dating life exploded since the show?
No.
Really?
Oh, that's surprising.
I mean, I do get a lot of messages every day.
A lot of DMs.
DMs, but I think I'm in a stage currently just trying to focus on myself, self-growth, just my business, and then if it comes, you know, I don't really look for it. So
that's a healthy attitude to have.
Well, we hope that you get your own show, whether it's The Bachelor, whether it's The Courtship 2 from the gentleman's point of view. I don't know.
I would love that.
We would love that. We'd love to watch.
Record this and put it on my Instagram. We got to repeat that one more time.
Achilles, we wish you nothing but the best in love and in your professional life. And thank you so much for joining us here on the Courtship Aftershow.
Thank you.
It's been fun.
The opportunity you guys gave me to be on the show. I love the show, by the way. That's why I reached out to you guys. I was like, I got to be on the show. You guys, Liz, you're amazing. Tiffany, you're awesome.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet.
Farewell. Your carriage
awaits.